Sports Clash Radio with your hosts, Chad and JC Martin.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Sports Clash Radio. I'm your host, Chad Martin. With me as always is JC Martin. And it was a pretty busy and exciting weekend in sports. I mean, we had upsets, controversies. We had so many exciting plays from both football, baseball, golf. Especially with Rory coming back doing what he did on Sunday. I think he started the day at 6 under.
Yeah, he was not 6 under, but he was about 5, 6 strokes off the lead.
Off the lead, yeah, exactly. And so then by the last 3 holes, I think he was 3 down. He really had to play well.
And I mean, he had some amazing hole outs. Just long distance. The one shot that got him really into contention, put him into second place. It was on the 16th hole. I mean, he hit that ball a mile, and it hit every place on the green it had to get that ball into the hole.
Well, he ended up forcing a 3-way playoff, and I believe that was between, him?
Yeah, it was Rory, Ryan Moore, and Kevin Chappell in the playoff.
And then I think Kevin Chappell exited the playoff early or fell behind.
He did.
Win.
Because to start off the playoff, they replayed the 18th hole. So Kevin took his when he teed off on the first playoff hole there on the 18th. He hit it off into the trees, deep into the trees. Ryan Moore did basically the same thing, but he had a better shot. He just had to curve his second shot back around the trees. And Rory, with his tee shot, I mean, he absolutely obliterated the ball. I mean, hit it a mile. Actually hit it so far that it went over the fairway into a light patch of rough right before it would have hit a water hazard. He hit it so hard. So he does that. Ryan Moore, of course, Ryan Moore and Kevin Chappell are further back. So Ryan Moore curves his shot. He gets his ball back out in the fairway. And Kevin Chappell did a good job of getting his ball out of the predicament he was in because a little girl had actually picked up his ball and moved it. So they had to get the ball back from her and put it back in the approximate area where it originally landed. And, I mean, his ball was deep in the rough. Like, he really had to knock up some grass to get enough lift under the ball to get it back onto the fairway. But Rory, with his second shot, he put the ball, because it was par 5, 18. Rory's second shot, he put the ball, I think it was like within 12 feet of the hole.
Good Lord.
I just absolutely crushed it. Chappell and Moore weren't quite as fortunate with theirs. Moore, he had an interesting lie because the way where he put the ball in the green, it was on the fringe of the green.
Yeah.
And there was this little lip on the other side of his ball. So he decided instead of to use his putter, he used a wedge. But he didn't try to lob the ball closer to the hole. Instead, he hit a low liner that just skipped all the way across the green, back to the other side, past the hole. Left the commentators scratching their heads.
Oh, I'll bet it did.
But and all this time, Rory's just hanging out on the green because he was always the closest one to the hole, so he had to wait forever in between shots. But Chappell collapsed. He ended up with par on the hole. And Moore, after he had that low liner that skipped across the other side of the green, he actually hit an amazing birdie shot to keep himself in contention. All he needed was Rory to mess up on his eagle attempt, which Rory hit a beautiful eagle putt. It just caught the edge of the hole and lipped out, and Rory had to tap in for birdie.
But he would get that putt back he needed.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
the 4th hole of the playoff, back on the 16th, where he actually started making his run at the end of the regulation tournament. So he comes in, he holds a 15-foot birdie putt, drains it. His expression was just great. You could tell he wanted that trophy, both of them, so bad. To be the tournament champion, to be to win that FedEx Cup, he wanted those two things. And his passion now is just really seeping over into the Ryder Cup, which starts Friday, I believe it does.
Right, yeah. We got the Ryder Cup coming up, which both teams are absolutely loaded. But going back to Rory, though, in that win, he got a nice payout for that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he did.
$13 million. He gets 3 for winning the Tour Championship, which is a major. He won a major and won the PGA Championship, the FedEx Cup. So he got $3 million for winning the Tour Championship, $10 million for winning the FedEx Cup. And of course, like you said, it was dramatic fashion. He was overjoyed and kind of overcome there. He got 2 trophies at the end of the day, 2 beautiful glass trophies, both of them. And but since he's $13 million richer, if you want Rory, you can go ahead and pay off my student loans.
And that's not too bad for playing, 3 or 4 days of golf, of just hitting a ball around the country club and just having a good time. I mean, but these guys are so skilled and so good, and I'm happy for Rory. Rory's one of my favorites out there. Even though he's the enemy in the Ryder Cup, but still, I love Rory McIlroy, so I'm glad to see that he won the tournament. I would like for Jordan Spieth to have done something in this tournament, even Dustin Johnson, who I'm a fan of, but I'm not upset Rory won at all. Like I said, I really love Rory McIlroy, so...
Rory's a likable player. He's the guy who seems to do everything the right way.
Exactly. He carries himself the right way. It's hard not to like that man. So, congrats to Rory. I think it was a great win for him, and that's he's one of the reasons why golf is so much fun to watch again.
It really goes to the whole crop of new young talent.
Well, you've got it. Man, there's so many.
With Rory, Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth. I mean, these guys, Bryson DeChambeau, these guys are really going to lead this game going forward. And Smiley Kaufman, even, kid from LSU.
And you still got some of your old timers and stuff hanging out there. I call Sergio an old timer, but I love watching Sergio play. He can still get up there and hit it and go. I mean, it's great to see. I love it. I enjoy it. So I can't wait for the Ryder Cup. It might be my favorite golf tournament of the year, actually. Behind the Masters, right? Which I really just absolutely love.
The Masters is the tournament,
but right there underneath that's the Ryder Cup, just because it's one-on-one play, it's match play, and it's so much fun to watch. But in that tournament now, here's the American Ryder Cup list. You got, of course, Davis Love III is the captain. You've got Ricky Fowler, J.B. Holmes, Dustin Johnson, Zach Johnson, Brooks
Koepka.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds good. Matt Kuchar. Phil Mickelson, Ryan Moore, Patrick Reed, Brant Snedeker, Jordan Spieth, and Jimmy Walker. I mean, that's a pretty stacked.
The Americans are loaded this year.
They are absolutely loaded, especially when you get over here and look at the Europeans. The vice captains, by the way.
The vice captains.
Let's talk about this. You got Jim Furyk.
Huge.
Tom Lehman.
Huge.
Steve Stricker.
Pretty big.
Bubba Watson.
Huge.
And then Tiger Woods.
He is golf god.
Who is absolutely loving his role as being a vice captain on this team. And that's great to see, because it'd be easy for somebody like Tiger, who's been just a huge giant in this sport for 2 decades now, that can just sit there and go, you know what, I'm happy to be a vice captain, be on this team, and be a part of it. Especially since he's been out of golf this last year.
Right, he didn't get to play this whole season, but for him to actually take on this role, and I can't really wait to see how he plays that mentor role to some of these younger superstars like Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth.
Oh yeah.
To see what can they learn from Tiger to help elevate their own game.
Exactly. I know I will be glued. I cannot wait to see this. It's going to be awesome. The European captain team, we're not going to forget these guys, because, like I said, Rory McIlroy is part of this.
Right.
So,
you got the reigning FedEx Cup champion.
So you got Rafael Cabrera Bello, Matt Fitzpatrick, Sergio Garcia, Martin Kaymer. I'm not really sure how to say it.
It's Kaymer.
Against Rory McIlroy, Thomas Peters, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Andy Sullivan, Lee Westwood, Danny Willett, and Chris Wood.
And you can't forget Captain Derek Clark.
Exactly. And the vice captains are Thomas Bjorn, I'm not even sure how you say his name, Patrick Harrington.
That's it.
That's so sad that I don't know that. Paul Lowry and Ian Poulter. Now, the thing about this is the European team has a lot of first-time Ryder players on this team. I think there's like five of these guys may be first-timers on here who've never been selected. So that's going to be interesting to see. I should have wrote those down. I did not. It's my bad. But I know there's a bunch of them when I was reading through it earlier. It's just a ton of these guys.
Yeah, and you look at this European team, and there's some names that you recognize, but there's others that you don't. A lot of these guys It's not that they don't play in the PGA Tour, but they don't play in the PGA Tour as much as they do in the European circuit.
Exactly.
So, of course, the names that stand out to you are Sergio Garcia, Martin Keimer, Rory McIlroy, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson. And I guess people can add Danny Willett to that now.
I think they really can.
Being the reigning Masters champion after
Exactly.
Jordan Spieth's meltdown. So, the European team is good. They have the talent to win it. But, man, this American team is just absolutely stacked top to bottom.
So who do you pick? Let's go ahead and start this out. I was going to wait till later, but who are you taking?
Really?
That's exactly what I thought you'd say. This ought to be the U.S.'s cup to lose.
Right.
Right here. If they don't,
cue the Hulk Hogan music, cue the Dusty Rhodes music. We're going for the American dream all the way.
I pity almost anyone who has to go up against Dustin Johnson. Rory will probably be the one that could give him fits, especially on that side. And Danny Willett could too, really, with just his accuracy and how well he hits the ball. But because when Dustin Johnson gets out there, he's just going to murder the ball. So it's going to be really difficult. I believe he'll win his match. But
of course, you got the mid-range game of Spieth, as well as his putting game is off the charts.
If Jordan keeps it in the fairway, if Jordan can keep it in the fairway, then he could win almost every tournament.
Absolutely.
His problem is he gets too wild off the tee box. But if he keeps it in the fairway, because he's aces once he hits up around the green. His short iron game and his putting is just phenomenal.
And the funny thing is, we see Phil Mickelson on this team. I think this is like his 11th consecutive Ryder Cup that he's playing in.
I love old Phil.
But the thing I love about Phil is, as much as he gets himself in really bad situations, overshooting greens, finding himself in bunkers.
He gets himself out of those situations.
He is the Houdini of getting out of those situations.
It's amazing. If you have a tree in front, he curves it around a tree that's not 2 feet in front of him. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
He can do that. Or if he's taking a shot from deep in the rough and trying to get onto the green, half the time it feels like he's actually holding these shots, not just getting them on the green. Or if he does get them on the green, he's not only just putting it on the green, he's putting it right near the hole.
Yeah, he doesn't just punch it out into the fairway and say, oh, well. He actually tries to make a shot. He can keep it under branches, just above the rough.
He's a magician.
You're right. You said Houdini, a magician. He certainly is that. But over the weekend, there was some sad news, as much fun as it was with Rory winning and stuff. Arnold Palmer passed away this weekend. That was so sad to hear because Arnold Palmer was the quintessential golfer. I mean, he was the absolute gold standard, really, by which golfing was measured. He was nicknamed the King, and Arnold really showed why he was on a path to golfing royalty during his very first tour win. That was in his rookie season. I think it was 1955 at the Canadian Open. That's when he won his first major championship at the 1958 Masters. And he was active all throughout the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. He was on the senior tournament through the 80s and 90s, and he won over 95 professional wins. Nobody's even close. As good as Tiger Woods was, he's still not close to that yet.
Right, but he also won 7 majors over that time. 4-time Masters champion,
Yep.
1-time U.S. Open, and 2 times the Open Championship that he won. So Arnold Palmer was absolute classic, from everything I've heard. Because, of course, his playing days were well behind him by the time I was coming up. So I never got to see Arnold Palmer really do his thing. But the one thing that I did get to learn about Arnold Palmer was, some of it from ESPN, some of it from word of mouth. But the drink, the Arnold Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
I one day bought one without realizing what it was. I was just like, well, this has a name. I want to try it. Lemonade and iced tea together, one of the greatest things you'll ever put in your mouth.
There you go. And so many people knew of Arnold not even just because of golf, because of how he transcended the sport and in the mainstream, where people knew him just from commercials and all of that good stuff. And he was really, when we say he was the ambassador of the sport, I mean, that there can't really be a truer statement, because you look at a lot of the interviews with the young players. Spieth came out talking about how he got to share a locker with Palmer, and so many of these guys looked up to him because he treated everybody the same. Jack Nicklaus is one of his best friends. Talked about how they were rivals on the course, but it was never about animosity. It was just trying to win and beat the other guy because they had so much respect for each other. And it's just a great loss. Sometimes I think we forget he was 87 years old. So Arnie's been around a good long time.
It showed at the Masters this year because they had, I think it was Palmer, Nicklaus, and Gary Player.
Yeah.
They had those 3 former Master winners actually do the opening tee off, the ceremonial tee shots. And of course Nicklaus and Player had pretty good ones, and then Palmer came up there, and it looked like it was hard for him to really get through his backswing and his follow through. So you could tell that age was starting to catch up with Arnold Palmer, but all the same, it's still sad to see him go.
It really is, because in 2000, Golf Digest named him the 6th greatest player of all time. And you sit there and you try to think of who's better than him, and
I mean, you could argue Nicklaus.
Yeah.
You could maybe argue Player, which Gary Player can actually still play.
That's right.
He looked really good Masters weekend. Tiger.
Exactly.
But I really couldn't think of 2 other guys.
Well, you have Ben Hogan probably. Because I mean, he was really put golf on the map anyway. So it really was. I was surprised to see him ranked 6th, but even still, 6th greatest player to ever pick up a pair of sticks
in a game that's hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Exactly. So it was a sad weekend for that. Our condolences, of course, go out to him and his family and to the entire golfing community and golfing world, because golf is a really cool sport because it's so much different when it comes to a brotherhood and a bond than it is like even football or things like that, which is traditionally a team sport. You can see these guys who are playing each other on the golf course still as they're walking along, talking and laughing and having a good time, but are still serious about their craft. So again, our condolences go out to Arnold Palmer, his family, and we hope everybody tunes into the Ryder Cup this weekend. I know I will. I can't wait to watch this. I think it's going to be fun. I think the U.S. is going to dominate. You said it too. I don't think there's any question. The shocker would be if they don't. But again, you can't look at the European team and say, well, they're just going to be pushover, because they're not. There's no way. I mean, all it's going to take is for these guys, especially the U.S. guys, not to take it seriously. And you got a lot of young guys on the team. So we'll see what happens. But that's our golf coverage, and we'll check you guys later.